What up YouTube, it's TC Thief coming at you live with a gun video. Alright, I got the question tonight in stream about 100 times, is it worth it? So we're going to answer this question. Ultimately only you can answer if it's worth it or not, because you're the one that's actually farming the gold. So we'll go through the weapon and check out the rolls. All the rolls on it are static, but before we do, remember to catch me live at twitch.tv/TC Thief, streaming live at 11 p.m. Central European time. Come by the stream and say hi. Without further ado, let's dive down into the stats of this weapon and give it a look and honestly make an assessment of whether this weapon is worth it or not. Now, as you can see in the store, this weapon's listed for 1,680 gold. Now, originally I wouldn't think this is a lot of gold, but since the 5,000 cap, this is a good chunk of your gold if you have it building up. So that is something to take into consideration right there. I bought it just for demonstrational purposes without even checking it out. So let's go in and dive down and see the schematics. Now the rolls on this weapon are fixed, or static rolls, and what this means is my rolls will be the same as your rolls, as they are the same as everybody else's. Now the first roll on this weapon is going to be plus 14% fire rate. Then you have a 38% magazine size, a 50% reload speed, and then you have damage dealt with this weapon snares the target by 30% for 6 seconds. All right, and then the last roll is going to be damage to slowed and snared by 30%. Now the first thing I did when I saw this weapon was like, what? No element? And if you're early Stonewood, early Canny, or you're in Plankerton, the element doesn't really matter too much, but when you get to the upper parts of Canny and all the way in Twine, element is really important. And I have a couple of time to kills just to demonstrate how important an element is. Essentially, if you're shooting a flat weapon or a flat damage weapon, physical damage weapon, you are only doing 50% of your damage to elemental targets. So I was really confused when I saw this weapon without an element on it. So possibly in the future you might be able to re-roll an element onto this weapon, but just right now as it stands, this weapon is essentially worthless to people who are in Canny and above, or mid Canny and above. So just take that into consideration when you're spending gold on this weapon. 90% of the time you will not use this weapon in Twine Peaks, and even if you do, you will not be doing that great of damage. But I like to see the damage to slowed and snared rolls partied or partnered with the damage dealt with this weapon snares the target for 30%. I like seeing a snare on a weapon with damage to slowed and snared rolls. That's really cool that Epic is doing it, but I think they kind of missed the mark with not putting an element on this weapon. And maybe in the future their goal was to allow people to put their own element on this weapon. So just take that into consideration when buying this weapon. It does not have an element on it. This was a big turnoff for me. If I would have known this, I probably wouldn't have bought it. Here's a couple of clips demonstrating why elemental weapons are so important, especially when you get to the upper levels of Canny and in Twine. Alright, the first smasher is just a non-elemental smasher. I'm just going to do a quick time to kill test on a level 76 smasher because they seem to be the best things to do TTKs on. So you can see right here, my time to kill was approximately 2.878 seconds. Alright. You can see in this second clip right here that's about to play that the time to kill on an elemental smasher with a physical damage weapon is drastically increased, doubled in fact, because you're doing 50% less damage. All right, right here, this is a clear demonstration of why elementals are so important in the upper levels of Canny and Twine. So it really upsets me that there's not an element on this weapon. Hopefully in the future we will be able to, or have the option to, roll an element on this weapon. But as it stands right now, if I had the option between this and something else, or I had to budget my gold for players who don't farm this game and they only have a little bit of gold, I would save your gold for something else. Overall, the weapon shoots well and it has the potential to be good, and if it was an elemental weapon or it had some sort of element on it, even just energy, it would be decent. But right now, as it stands, only doing 50% of your damage to elementals, I don't think it's worth it. Once again, you are the only one that can pick whether it's worth it or not to you. I love that question on stream, but for me, this weapon definitely isn't worth it. Well, that about sums it up for the Hacksaw LMG. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, man, feel free to come by and talk to me on stream. All right, that's the best way to get at me immediately and get instant feedback in real time. So feel free to come by the stream at twitch.tv/TCThief. And don't forget to smash that sub button, fam.